A professor once asked us in class, why is Monday so bad? And nobody really had an answer. We just kind of all sat there puzzled. I remember that class very distinctly, and I remember leaving thinking maybe Monday isn't the problem. Maybe it's a mirror. Maybe it's how I feel about and perceive Monday. And if that's true, what exactly is this showing us? So, hello everyone, and welcome back to Get In. You Are Driving. Thank you for being here. It is, it's officially summer in Madrid and it is hot. I am sitting in my room right now. It's probably at least 90 degrees out. I don't have AC. I only have my fan blowing. I really hope the fan isn't making a lot of noise, but I'll have AI get rid of it if it does. So, anyways, thanks for being here. I'm excited to talk about this week's episode. And this happened when I was in ethics class in college. It was my sophomore year. And I genuinely will never forget when my professor asked us all that. Like, of course, he's already asking us all these more philosophical questions and stuff because it's an ethics class. But I think it was the first time my brain made this connection of, wait a minute, perception plays such a huge role in everything. Hold on, I'm going to close my window because I feel like you might hear some cars honking. Probably gonna melt even more now, but for the sacrifice of this podcast. I think for me, it was the first time that I thought I connected perception and how perception affects how you feel about things. So again, none of us really had an answer. But I remember I really took it seriously and I was like, you know what? It's true. Why should you always dread Monday? Why? This is a perception problem. So I did a little challenge for myself and I decided that I was going to do something that I really enjoyed every Monday so that I would like look forward to Monday. What I did was super simple. I just got a coffee. Like I just got a coffee at my favorite place. I did it every single Monday. And I'm going to be honest, it changed my perception of Monday. Now, of course, did Monday still mean going back to school, all these things? Yeah. But I think changing my perception very intentionally for the first time showed me again how powerful perception is in your life. So the deeper question though stayed in my life of if Monday is just a day, why does it feel like a judge? Because I think it also goes deeper than just not liking Monday, especially as we get older and now have jobs. And I wrote an essay on this actually a while back. And a lot of things inspired it. It was basically about why Sunday night can tend to feel like an existential crisis night every week. And I think that a huge reason why we don't like Monday and perceive it as awful is because we feel it's judging us. And I think what Sunday night does, it's not as simple as I dread work, I don't like going to school. I think it really is asking you each week and having you confront, is my life progressing? Does my life look the way I would like it to look? Am I listening to my desires? What are my patterns? Like when you really think about why Sunday night can feel daunting is again, because since it's this reset of the week, it's really making you think, do I like my life? Like again, it goes much deeper. And that's why you can be doing something as simple as like folding your laundry, watching a movie, like whatever it means. And it's like this existential crisis of, okay, if you really don't like Mondays, I think there's a reason and there's probably some type of problem there because usually when we have these very intense feeling about things, that means there's something to uncover it. So are you ready to hear it? Because again, I think that Sunday is really asking into Monday, do you like your life? And this happened for about a year and a half of my life. Me and my friend, our life was good, but I think it was mundane. And we were both in a season where we wanted more things to happen, but they weren't happening. And we would always catch ourselves sitting at a coffee shop saying, every day feels like Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day means, if you haven't heard of it, it's you're living the same day over and over and over and over and over. And we really felt like that. But it was kind of weird too, because we also were really good about knowing, okay, but right now we live together, we're single, we're in a city that we like. Like we knew there was something special about the season we were in as well. But again, I think we all have a habit of wanting more, right? We want more for our lives, whether that's you want to lose weight, you want to make more money, you want to be doing something you care about, whatever it is. Again, I think that Sunday night and Monday can feel intimidating because if you aren't living a life you like, it's awful. So here we are feeling like, okay, it's Groundhog Day every day, da, 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 da. And it really got me thinking between the distinction of what is struggling and what is suffering. I think me and my friend, when we were ranting about Groundhog Day, we were struggling because we were doing all the right things to get to where we wanted to be. We were putting the work in, we were being intentional, we were putting ourselves out there. Like, struggle is purposeful because it's hard, repetitive work that is the prerequisite for where you want to go. Like, there is going to be struggle. Nobody is born and then just has a life that they like, right? You have to get the things you want out of life. Life very rarely just gives them to you and is like, here you go. And again, I think we were deeply in a struggle because, again, hard, repetitive work that is a prerequisite for where you want to go. And I think this is normal and I think it's what you have to go through. But then there's suffering. And suffering is different. And suffering, I think, is more people in the category that genuinely are only living for the weekend, genuinely hate the week. Like Monday is just so awful and daunting to them. I would say you are suffering because this is the friction of being somewhere, doing something, maybe even being with someone you've already outgrown. There's no growth happening and there's only erosion. And if I'm being honest, I think most people are in this latter category of suffering. I don't want to say me and my friend are know it alls, but I really think, again, we were very aware of, okay, we want more. To get our more, we're having to do things that makes us feel as if we are struggling. That makes us feel as if we're living every day the same. But when Monday came along for me and her, yeah, we had our complaints, but we also, it wasn't like an awful judge either because we knew with time we would get to where we wanted to go. And we also knew it was a very special season we got to spend together. Whereas suffering, like I said, is when you've fully outgrown where you need to be. And I think why a lot of people absolutely hate their life is because they are suffering. There's no more friction in their life. There's nothing challenging them. They are literally just waking up doing the same thing. Nothing is new. Nothing is exciting. No friction. And I think that maybe on Sunday night, when things get quiet before bed or whatever you're doing, when you actually can't run away anymore, you can't go to the bar anymore and drink or smoke or whatever because you have to go to bed for work, you feel that uncomfortable feeling of, do I like the life I'm living? Is this the life I want? And again, if you are struggling and you cannot find peace on Sunday, and most Sundays feel like this, you're suffering. And I think your life is always going to feel like a crisis until you want to change something. So now that we have framed what this is and we've named why I think a lot of people feel this weekly existential audit, I want to leave you with some place to move and change and go on from here. Because I also, what I really want to do is I want to acknowledge that this is hard. It is hard to wake up and to create friction in your life. It really is. Like, nothing you want is a cakewalk. Nothing. Like, but I also really don't want to discourage you and make you think that it's suffer. It's struggle, but it's not suffer. And what I just want you to think about is if you really are this person that dreads Mondays, is always just complaining about them, I want you to think about how, yeah, you're probably not creating the life that you want. I think this is why a lot of people are really miserable, why they end up in things that they don't like. Um, Most people just complain about Monday as if it's been handed down to them, as if it's just something they should accept, as if it's what everybody does. And I think most people do this because most people are living like this, right? Most people are just, well, that's the way it is. Listen, if you want to feel shitty for the rest of time, that is absolutely your prerogative. It is not mine. But if you are like, I don't want to feel this anymore, then I hope this can resonate. But again, if you sit with yourself honestly, I want you to ask yourself, do you hate Monday because you were conditioned to hate it because it's a perception? Do you hate it because everybody else seems to hate it? Or is there something deeper underneath it? And I would argue that many times the answer is there's something much deeper underneath than well, I just don't like it. I really do think it is a mirror of do I like the life I'm living? So again, what does this day represent to you? What uncomfortable feeling are you perhaps avoiding by not thinking about it? And I would really dig into that because, as I said, life is not just going to hand you what it wants. That's not how life works. So figure out, are you struggling or are you suffering? And if you're suffering and if you're tired of feeling that way, what I first want you to do, because this is something that I really learned, took me a few years to get here, is be sympathetic with yourself and ask yourself, okay, I know I want things to look differently. Why hasn't my behavior reflected that? Because a lot of times deep down, we're insecure. We're scared. We don't think we can actually make the change because we hate ourselves. We're traumatized. Like, I watched a very good YouTube episode. It was by Anna Howard. Hold on. I really want to look at what the title was. And I thought about this for a really long time after watching this video. Oh no, she changed the title. But it was something like, hold on, I have it in my Notion. It was self-rejection. Hold on. Rejection. Ah, self-rejection. Isn't that awful that when you want to find something, then you can't? It was like self-hate. Oh my gosh, that makes me so upset. Hold on. I think it's in my words. I have so many things in my Notion. It's ridiculous. Really? Okay, of course it's not here. Oh, that makes me so freaking mad. But it was something along the lines of self-help without self-help without self-acceptance is self-hatred. Something along the lines of you cannot help yourself if it's only coming from a place of hate. First, you must accept yourself and then move from there. So, 2-minute waste of time here. But essentially, that was the message that there's so much self help content out there. You could even argue that that's what this podcast is, right? Personal development. That's the category. But until you accept why you're behaving a certain way, you're not going to really be able to help yourself because if you're doing it out of hatred, it's just not going to work. And, a lot of people will hear that, including myself, and be like, now we have to get all foo-foo with our feelings. And if there's one thing I learned this year is you better get foo-foo with your feelings because I do not take my feelings literally, but I have learned this year I am absolutely taking them seriously because your feelings aren't some annoying bitch you're trying to manage. They're just trying to tell you something. And I would have never thought, I genuinely would have never thought that so much of why we're on our phones, we're overthinking all the time, has to do with just not wanting to sit with the uncomfortable feelings that surface. So, my point of saying all this is if you don't like Monday, if you're dreading it, if you feel like you're in the suffering category, to get to the bottom of this, be accepting of yourself and why. There's a reason you scroll on your phone for 3 hours. There's a reason you only want to eat ice cream for dinner 7 nights in a row. And instead of being like, I'm such a fatty, oh, I'm such a maggots for brains and I don't have a brain, think to yourself, what are the beliefs inside of me, the insecurities inside of me? They're having me do these actions that I know I don't really want to be doing, but I'm doing them and being like, okay, this comes from X, this comes from X, this comes from X. And I know it sounds very foo foo, but I did it like 2 weeks ago because I was at my wits' end about a goal that I had been wanting, but could not get for the life of me. And what I was doing every single time was restarting and hating myself when restarting. And then I watched this video about hers. I will have to link it. And I was like, you know what? It's so true. I have always done this out of self-hatred. I have always been so mean to myself. And again, another very simple example, but very, very true is if this was your friend, how would you go about it? Because we tend to be normally, we tend to be much harder on ourselves and much less forgiving than we are with a friend. And I remember thinking, well, I wouldn't just tell my friend she's lazy. I would probably tell my friend, well, why are you doing this? So again, if you hate Monday, if you don't like it, you are probably going to discover that there are a lot of whys underneath that are very deep. And when you do, be accepting of that. Be accepting that there are deeper reasons as to why you've been acting that way. And I think that then when you get to the bottom of those deeper reasons, you can sort out more of a game plan of where you would like your life to go. So yeah, I really hope that made sense. I know it can sound a bit get into your feelings. Get into them. Get into them because again, they are signals. You don't have to take them literal. And what I have learned, and it's very cliche, but it's true, you don't hate Monday. You probably just hate that nothing's changed. You probably just hate that your life isn't looking the way you would like it to. And if that's how you feel, that's absolutely fair. Get to the bottom of those feelings, but then know that you're going to have to implement real change because something I will never stand by is waiting for life to hand you what you wanted to hand you and being a victim. You have to keep moving and going on. So that's what I want you to ask yourself this week. You can't change what you don't want to look at. You can't change what you are trying to avoid. You can only change through awareness and being really honest with yourself, even if that's tough. So I hope this can inspire you to start having Mondays that you're going to end up enjoying. This is a shorter episode as it was a shorter essay, but it felt like a really important topic because I feel like I don't like that most people I encounter absolutely hate Monday and hate their life, and I think are in this suffering category. I just don't think that's how it should be. I really don't. And I'm fighting everything in myself to not allow my life to look that way because you get one. You only get one. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here, and I will catch you in the next episode.